Welcome, welcome to this webinar on overcoming the fear of change and stepping into your next chapter. Welcome, please take the time to share the live stream and invite your friends. Okay. So while we wait for our friends to join, I'll play some music and some quotes. Some quotes. Okay. Okay. Reinvention is the bridge between who you are and who you can be. Share this live stream. We are yet to start. We are yet to start. We are waiting for you to share the live stream to your friends, your loved ones. Yeah. Okay, so I have another quote here. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. So much indeed. So much. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. There's power in teamwork, just like the broom, for example. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we are 3 minutes past the time and it's time for us to start. So today's webinar is titled Overcoming the Fear of Change and Stepping into Your Next Chapter. And it's no news that facing change can be challenging. But the problem is that we all have to change. At some point, we all have to deal with change. And how do we face change when we are filled with so much fear? That's the big question. And that's the question that we're going to be answering in today's webinar. And at the end of this webinar, you should get the toolkits and the mindset shift you need to turn this fear that you are feeling into stepping stones for growth. And guiding us on this journey of transformation is no other person than Pamela Olumola. Pamela is a seasoned coach and mentor, and she's dedicated to helping people break through barriers. There's no other person better to take this topic today, for us at Brave Achievers than Pamela Olumola. So without further ado, I'll be welcoming her on stage.
Hi, a groove. I asked for a specific song. I haven't heard it yet, and so I don't understand what's going on. Eunice, where is my song?
Okay.
I specifically asked for it. Right?
Yes, Pamela, you asked for
Where
it.
is it?
But we did face some hassle trying to
All
bring the
right.
sound
Okay,
into
that's
each
fine.
screen.
Then let's go on. Then I'm gonna. Can you hear from my end if I play it?
Yes.
Oh, you can. Okay, so I am going to play it. And I'll explain to everybody the reason why.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear it?
Yes.
Tire for the wahala. Please, where they talk pass. Look for the tight corner, now you be the architect. Life plan they call your name, but you just a calculate. So day inside, now your heart, now you got take a me. Who fall, turn over, nada. I go reinvent myself. I think you stop me now. Oh, I go reinvent myself. I don't go wrong. Oh, yes. I go do the work, no contest. I go reinvent myself. Oh, not by trust. Step inside the light, you are born to fly.
You're born to fly high.
Lead a bus vodka, on which you dare no side. I go reinvent myself. I think you saw me now. I go reinvent myself. I don't go wrong.
All right. Welcome, everybody. And for some of you who were wondering what the heck is going on, thanks for your patience. I'm going to explain further down on this call why it meant so much for me to play that music. Welcome to the Reinvent to Rise webinar on overcoming fear. I'm honored, very honored that you chose to spend this time to focus on your growth with us today. Today, you're going to learn just very simple, powerful strategies to identify, confront, and transform fears that hold you back. My goal is to have you leave here energized, equipped with practical tools, and filled with the confidence to step boldly into your next phase of life. I'm going to start with a little story. And thank you for being here, for those of you that are on this call. I'm going to start with a little story. This story really means a lot to me because it shaped a lot of things concerning my life. And when I say it shaped a lot of things concerning my life, it shaped how I view fear. Before I do, is there any one of you here that has ever felt a moment of inability to take action simply because you're wondering what could, what can, what if? Anybody on this call that has ever experienced such a thing? Because if you haven't, then maybe this is not the call that you should be on. This call today is about talking to and connecting with those who have experienced what you call real intense fear. And when I say intense fear, I'm not talking about the one that you need to go to the doctor for. I'm talking about just simply waking up in the morning, knowing you should take a leap. You want to take that leap. You want to do that thing different. But you can't bring yourself to that moment. You can't bring yourself to do it because in your mind, one thing or the other keeps popping up as the reason why it's not going to happen, the reason why you shouldn't do it. If you're in here and you are looking at your career right now, you're looking at your future, you're listening to the news, you're watching TV and seeing everything that's going on in the world, and you are feeling like, what next? How am I going to penetrate? How am I going to survive? And you have ideas. You have dreams inside of you. But you find that all you do is continue to run the rat race and hope that one day you're going to wake up and your dreams would have materialized. This is the call for you. This is why we started Reinvent to Rise. We have spent years mentoring people in career change. We have spent years training people in product design and brave achievers. We have spent years training people in technical product writing. We've spent years training people in project management. But one thing that I have found that has been consistent with almost every candidate, it's not that they struggle to understand the training and the skills, but it's because that many times they are not able to be consistent with taking the steps to make that change happen. You have a dream. You know, I want to write a book. I want to transition from one role to another role. But that step, that big, bold step, the little tiny incremental steps to get there is a struggle. Now, one of the reasons I get so excited about Reinvent to Rise is because I have been there before. Somebody asked me a question last year and said to me, Pamela, why is it that once you've got your teeth in something and you want to accomplish something or do something, you just go for it? I laughed. And I said to her, that's not the way it is. There was a time when I wasn't that way, when I didn't understand how to allow myself to unleash. But over the years, I discovered that there is only one thing between you and where you want to get to. And guess what? It's between your ears. It's right between your ears. It's the mind. It's the mind. So, before we go into some of the meat of the content today, I want everyone on this call to take this link and do a quick self-survey. Okay? This link is, I'm going to share it in the chat for everybody, unless Eunice has already dropped it. Do you have it? Yeah. So, Reinvent Change Quiz. That's a quick little app that it belongs to our team, specifically about just finding out where you are at. Today's session, I want us to know where you are at. Where are you starting from? Where are you starting from today? Are you looking at all the technological advancements in the world and worried about your job? Are you worried about where you would get to and how you would get there and how you can actually transition? Are you someone that struggles with making a change? Take that poll, take that little quiz, and I'll encourage you to take one bold step and share the results when you feel comfortable to do so. Now, let me tell you about that story that I talked about, that I said I was going to share. I was in a situation where I did not know how I was going to be able to complete my academic program due to financial difficulty. And I really loved the course I was taking. It's architecture at that time. And I said to myself, I could either drop out because that was what I was told. Like, just you could either step out of this course and go and take something that's much cheaper and where you don't have to buy a lot of materials and things like that. Or you need a miracle. And in those days, there weren't telephones, there weren't mobile devices, there weren't there weren't even laptops. So it wasn't something I could go online and start searching for scholarships and things like that. And I woke up one day and I said to myself, it sounds like this is the only option to step out, drop out of this course, and go do either something else or just go and work. I felt like my back was against the wall. I felt like there was no other option. I couldn't see an option. I could not see an option. It was scary. But inside of me, I knew there has to be a way. There's gotta be a way. But it wasn't, I couldn't see it. 18, scared. And I didn't want to lose the one thing that really mattered to me, to become an architect. I'm going to tell you more about what happened, but first I want to make sure that we go into our slides. I am going to ask that we add the slides to the stage so that I can start going through the content. I will tell you what happened in my story. So for today, we will go through 4 things. One is why fear is common. What is the fear cycle? What are practical strategies and immediate tools of action that you can take? And prepare everybody's mind for a 90-day action plan that we're going to kick off next week. Back to my story. I felt a grip of fear because this meant I would have to change. I was already in the school. I was already making friends. I was already 2 semesters in when my life situation turned around and I was told I couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford it. There was nothing we could do. It meant all these friends I had, I was going to lose them. It meant a future that was uncertain, that I had no idea what it held for me. Of course, immediately, I didn't want that. I didn't want that. Fear of change is more common than we understand. I did not want that change. And immediately, I went into self-protective mode. The statistical reality is that circa 60% of adults feel held back by the fear of failure. You feel you can do this. You know you can do it. Some moments you know, some moments you're not so sure. But you see other people that have less, maybe skills or opportunities than you doing it. But then you're thinking, what if I fail? What if I fail? These were the thoughts that were running through my mind. you dare to find a solution, Pamela, what if your solution doesn't work? Then you would have lost a whole year, academic year. What if, as I woke up the next morning, seeds of potential solutions were coming into my mind, but I was gripped with fear. Those potential solutions, what if they don't work? What if it doesn't happen? And as the ideas were coming out from within my core, just like somebody here today has ideas coming and bubbling within your core, and that voice is telling you, what if you fail? Another is the common thought, what if I regret this? What if I regret the counsel that was given to me and I was told, just quit and go and look for a cheaper course. Just quit and go to a place where it wasn't so expensive. Just quit. I was told, quit. But inside of me, I knew that I wanted to fight for what I thought was mine. To fight for the place that I thought I deserved to occupy. It had been a dream of mine to become an architect. Why was this being snatched away from me? The what ifs came. The what ifs came, and it began to bundle my mind. Until I got to that place where I said, what will happen if I try? What will happen if I try? I won't be able to actually forgive myself if I don't take that step. Believe it or not, we all go through fear cycles. That doubt, that anxiety, the moments where you want to actually avoid the situation because you're thinking, if I ignore it long enough, it's not going to happen. If I ignore it long enough, it's going to solve itself. If I ignore it long enough, maybe, just maybe, a miracle will happen. Well, back to the story. I got up one morning and I said to my very, very close cousin and colleague, I said, I have made up my mind. I am not going to drop out. I'm going to self-sponsor, and I've decided how it's going to happen. And then she looked at me and she was like, what? What are you going to do? You don't have the money. I said, yes, I know I don't have the money, but I can create the opportunity to have the money. And she said, how? I said, I've been looking at all the stalls behind our campus, our classroom. And I noticed that many of them have different businesses. Some sell snacks, some sell food, full-blown restaurants and all that. I'm pretty good at making snacks. Well, I think I am. I can make a couple. What if I got a stall like everybody else and then built a little business that would have people buying my snacks so that they can have a good meal for lunch, snack and drink, and I would not have to worry about school fees and the cost of buying all my architectural gadgets. And my friend looked at me and she said, okay, I know you like to dream, but this is completely out of whack. How are you going to do it? How are you going to get a stall? How are you going to run it? You're already overworked in class. There's so many assignments for the students of architecture. How are you going to put this in? And I said to her, I said, I don't know how, but I know I have to start. I have to start somewhere. I don't know how, but I will start, first of all, by trying to get the store. And everything else, I'm sure we can work out. I refuse to continue in this cycle of fear. I refuse to continue in this cycle of fear. Is there anyone who right now you are seeing opportunities around you? You are seeing potentials of what you can be doing, both academically, career-wise, and you are still gripped in the cycle of fear? It's okay. I'm here to tell you it's okay. What is not okay is staying in this cycle. What is not okay is to let self-criticism and avoidance and missed opportunities and doubt and anxiety be your hold back. Now, immediately everything happened, I got to that point I had to start thinking, what is the fear? Like my friend mentioned, what if this fails? What if it fails? What if you're not able to run a little business while being in uni? What if you're not able to start your own business? What if? And I thought, okay, that's one fear. But then I had to remind myself, what if this leads to something better? As I'm asking you today, ask yourself, what is that fear? Name it today. And ask yourself this question: what if this change leads to something better? And back to my story. Once we agreed, myself and my friend, well, she reluctantly agreed. But once we agreed that this was something I was going to give a try, the first thing I did was take out a pencil and sketch out what are my first micro steps that I need to take in order to own this business. And then I realized, wow, all I need is the shop and then someone to help me run it, which meant I would have to train somebody. Okay, so let's go get the shop. And then we found out that you don't just get a shop, apparently. You have to go to the chief security officer who was in charge of land allocation on campus. I had no idea that was what would happen. And so we went. I found out where his office was, and my friend and I went there to see him. So when we got there, we were outside, come in. Oh, hello, young ladies. How may I help you? He was really nice, very warm. And we told him, so my friend decided not to speak. She just pointed at me once the man asked, how can I help you? And then the next thing we found out was that my voice actually worked. I finally opened my mouth and I said, we're students. And I explained my situation and I said, I have come to you to ask for an allocation of a 5x8 piece of land so that I can put my shop on top of it. The man looked at us. He looked at my cousin slash friend, looked at me and said, ah, well, there isn't any more space on campus. I have allocated every vacant space on campus. I'm really sorry to disappoint you, ladies. If there had been a space, having listened to your story, I would have actually granted you some space. Immediately, my friend slash cousin wrote on her palm, "Told you so," and stuck it in my face. And guess what? I did something that I wasn't absolutely sure I was ever going to do. I took a gamble and I said, I know you don't have any space, but I know of a space right behind the Department of Architecture that is not bigger than the space I have asked for. And I have checked all around it. There are no encumbering barriers. And the gentleman said, is that so? The man said, is that so? I said, yes. He said, well, if that's the case, meet me there tomorrow. And if the land you're talking about actually exists, I will be there to allocate it for you. What am I talking about now? We were in a situation where it was really easy to say, okay, all land has been allocated. Thank you, sir, and bye-bye. Roadblocks. These are roadblocks. What are you thinking about now? What is it that you want to do that you are seeing roadblocks that look like mountains, Mountain Kilimanjaro mountain, massive mountains, roadblocks? I had a dream. I want to own a shop, run a business on campus. First attempt, walk into his office. He says, oh, all land has been taken. At that moment when you are in front of that roadblock, there are many thoughts that will go through your mind. What do you do when you're in front of a roadblock? Common obstacles that we face are things like self-sabotage, negative feedback, unexpected events. That wasn't expected. I didn't expect him to say there was no land. But think about this. What are your resilient builders? You must stay flexible. You must embrace failure as a data. It's a data. It's not the end. And for every progress, you must celebrate it. The next day, we got onto campus and we were there before him. And once the man arrived and he saw the spot I was talking about, he turned around and he said, wow, I never knew we had this spot here. Okay, guys, let's measure. He measured, pegged, and said, that land is yours. We grabbed him. I grabbed him in so much excitement. I was just too thrilled and excited. Oh my God. We said, thank you, thank you, thank you. He gave us a form that we needed to fill. And that was how we became landowners. Roadblock 1 removed. Before we go into the 90-day challenge process and talk about that, I want to wrap up that story. To cut a long story short, we went from being given that land. Remember, we had no money. In 4 weeks, we had a stall built, because once we had the first victory, even my friend slash cousin was excited. And then we now needed who was going to build for us, taking very little money and giving us a 3-month credit so that he could build, and we will use all the money from 3 months sales to pay him off. Again, my cousin said, that's impossible, Pamela. Nobody's going to do that. But guess what? We walked an entire street for 6 hours, an entire major commercial road for 6 hours, going from carpenter to carpenter, showing them our drawings and what we wanted to build, and asking them if they were going to be able to do it for us. And we faced rejection after rejection after rejection after rejection. And then when it was 5:30 in the evening, my cousin friend said, I'm not going anywhere with you anymore, Pamela. I'm done. Nobody's going to do this for us again. I don't know how you believe it, but nobody's going to do this for us. And I said to her, it's still light. There are still shops open. Let's give this a shot until when there are no shops opened anymore. Somehow, the very next shop we went to, the man looked at us after I spoke. He looked and looked and looked and said, I have never done this before, but I have also never met young children who are so darned determined. I will meet you there tomorrow. And the rest is history. That store was built. I hired somebody who was running the place for the next 4 years while I was on campus. That was how I was able to fund my education in a very expensive course. I could go on many stories, but today is not about me. It's about you. What is it that has held you back? You've been hearing that technology is advancing, changes are coming. The world as we know it today is undergoing a lot of changes. What is holding you back from that goal? Next week, we're going to talk about the 90-day challenge. We're going to kick it off, where you're going to come prepared with one fear-driven goal and think about what is holding you back from it. Then we're going to break that into 3 to 5 milestones. Think about this goal, have your milestones ready. And then we're going to schedule weekly check-ins. And then we will establish accountability. Thank you so much for listening. And now I'm opening up the ask before we take any questions about people's quiz type. Yes. All right. I can see somebody here says, I'm the reflective guardian. Okay. Moses Emmanuel, you're the reflective guardian. Oh, wow. Eunice, you are a reflective guardian as well. Okay. Anybody on the call that has taken that quiz and seen anything at all that is either interesting to them or found anything of value there? So, Eunice, I see a question here. What if I don't have the time to do it? What if it fails? Is that something you want to elaborate a little bit on? Is that something you want to elaborate a little bit on, Eunice?
Okay. Yeah, no, I added this comment because I was listening to. Yes. So I added the comment when you were saying we keep asking ourselves what ifs. And those
Yeah.
are the what if questions that keep coming to my mind. What if it fails? What if I don't have the time?
What if it fails? That's a perfectly great question, because if you remember, I shared that on one of the slides. It is a common stage. It is a common stage to go through. What if it fails? Right? What if it fails? Let's go back to that slide. See, you have it here. When you think, what if I fail? You need to reframe. What if this leads to something better? What if this leads to something better? There are so many stages in life that we go through. And when we are thinking about something that we want to do and accomplish, the fear of failing is what holds us down. But reframing that fear and changing that statement from what if I fail to what if this actually leads to something better? Does that help? If you start thinking, so think about something right now that I love that question. I'm gonna come to it right now soon, Ox Carbon. Um, but, but what you were saying, Eunice, when you reframe, understanding that reframing is a very, very powerful stage and step to overcoming the fear of failure is what helps. So you need to reframe whatever it is you've identified as your fear. And then Ox Carbon in the chat says, what do we do if we actually fail? Ox Carbon, you need to get this. Please, please, I hope you get it. Failure is a springboard. We grew up on earth, majority of us, understanding that if something does not work, that makes you a failure. No, you are not a failure. You tried something and it did not work out. What did you learn from that? Recognize that the person you were before you took that bold step is not the same person you are after you took that bold step and it did not work out the way you expected it to. You are never going to go back. Feeling fear does not make you weak. Oh my gosh. If you don't go through those initial cycles of contemplation, there could be a risk of being arrogant as well. Those cycles will it will come to your mind. But being a failure is definitely not the way to look at I tried and I failed. As anybody on this call, any idea how many failed projects Amazon has? I'll throw that to you as a question. Anybody in this room that can tell us how many failed projects Amazon has? I can look it up for you. I know there are many. Anybody? Oh, Facebook. Yes. Zodiac Sign says Facebook said, Mark said Facebook is not the first thing he built. Of course it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. And back to your to the question earlier on, the first Fire iPhone. I don't know whether any one of you know about the Fire iPhone. It was launched in 2014 by Amazon. It was discontinued in 2015. Oh. Amazon auctions. Does anybody remember Amazon auctions? Do you remember Amazon auctions? That was the early competitor to eBay. It was eventually replaced by other selling platforms. So it never really took up. Nobody remembers Amazon auctions today. Amazon restaurants, it's a restaurant delivery service. It was discontinued in 2019. So if you're beginning to think about failing as an indicator on you, you're never going to do anything. And I want to quickly address this question here before we wrap up from Zodiac here that says, how do I deal with naysayers, people who keep saying I can't do it, despite making my research and seeing the possibility? Zodiac signs, I'll tell you this. If you listen to naysayers, you're putting your life in their hands. You need to put yourself in the driver's seat of your destiny. People may have seen you fail 1,000 times. I know a story of a lady in the United Kingdom. She applied to 900 jobs. It was on the 901 or is it 919? I can't remember the exact number that she got her job offer. 900 applications. She could have stopped at the 100th one. There ain't no jobs. Nobody likes me. My face is ugly. I don't know how to speak. She did not stop. Tenacity is the one thing that you can have and you can own and use as your driver seat. People will look at you and say, oh, you failed last week. You failed 10 months ago. It's not about how many times you tried and you failed. It's about the conviction that you have on the inside and your deep understanding of why research and doing your homework is critical to success. But if you do your homework and you know that you got what you're looking for, there is nothing that has ever been birthed without you taking a risk. Naysayers are different from voice of reason. Naysayers are different from voice of reason. As long as you can balance those two, you know when somebody is talking as a naysayer, and you know when somebody is a coach and they're trying to help you to see a balanced view. And this is why Reinvent to Rise is such a big vision of ours. Our hope is that there are people out there that really want to accomplish certain things, and they have struggled with getting it to happen. And we want to work with them on this 90-day challenge so that you can journey with people that truly believe in you, will equip and empower you with the right resources and support you. I love that, Ibila. Yeah, Amazon had 6,505 fails. I didn't even actually have that number, but that's mind-blowing. So, if people have that number of failures, and today they are a household name, you can't give up on yourself. You cannot. You can't. I've been privileged in my life and I know it. The story I shared with you is many years ago, but all the journeys have been meeting obstacles and barriers and what have you. But on the inside, once you know you have a conviction about something, do not let the past failure hold you back. How do I know when to stop and change direction? Sometimes I'm afraid of trying things a different way, afraid of starting over. That is safe Forex brokers. Let me tell you something. This is why you have to know that there are humans upon the earth who go through the same thing that you go through, and they have struggles, the same struggles that you are going through. But the difference is what you surround yourself with when you're trying to take your next step. If you're on this call today and you have had failures in the past, what I want to say to you is you did the right thing hopping on this call. Because between now and next week, I want you to do something. I want you to write down. Let's start step one, practical. Take a notebook. If you don't have a notebook, take a piece of paper. If you don't have a piece of paper, find a corner on your wall that you can write. Do not allow yourself excuses. Take a minute right now before we wrap up this call and write down that thing that you want to do now. Not the ones you did in the past that failed. Or maybe one of the things you've done in the past, but you want to do it again because you have so much belief it can work. Write it down. Do that. And then write down what the obstacles are. What the obstacles were before, if you ever tried it, and what the obstacles you see today are. And then next week, we're going to work through sessions. First 10 minutes, working through preparing for your 90-day challenge. We are not all about talking. This whole thing is about you are coming to be part of a group of people who their mission right now in life is to support you to achieve your mission. So I don't care who has told you you can't do it. I don't care what circumstances have told you you can't do it. I care that you take a pen or a pencil or a marker right now and you write what that fear is and you write what the obstacle is. And then you say, I will get this done, but not by myself. You're going to be a part of a body. All we are here to do is to support you, give you the resources, give you the accountability partner for your journey. Thank you very much for coming on to this call. I love all the comments that came through, and I am super excited at our first Reinvent to Rise webinar. Going forward, many of you are going to get invitation to join our Reinvent and Rise membership group, where you will have access to resources that will blow your mind. This is not the time to say, I have nobody to help me. This is the time to say, I'm going to do this. Let's go. Let's go, people. Over to you, Eunice.
Thank you, Pamela. A very insightful session. Really insightful. I've also written down my goals, and I'll take time to write out my obstacles. Thank you very much. Okay,
Thanks,
so
everyone.
yeah. So Pamela has said a lot about the Reinvent to Rise membership hub, and you have the link showing on your screen now. You want to be a part of this membership hub. Accountability, people to share your struggles with, and of course, you have a mentor that you can trust, Pamela. So please, here's the link. Use it to join the Reinvent to Rise membership hub. So thank you very much, Pamela. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. See you guys next time. Yeah, thank you.